Board of Commissioners meeting Monday, November 18, 2024. Order, all please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. Good evening, Marcy. Before our usual the meeting tonight, session to discuss various personnel matters. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Hoover, who's going to introduce a few of our guests. So Randy, go ahead.
So after I got appointed as chief, throughout my career, I noted that a lot of the other departments of the county had police departments. And they assist the department in various different ways. And it's something that our department had explored in the past, but never really took the initiative to do anything. So, initially, I talked with Dr. Hoppa from HGA. And in my travels throughout the county as a chief, I had an opportunity to do some oral interviews in the city of Reading for some promotions. While doing that, I met the police chaplain for the city of Reading. And since then, I've asked both of them to become official police chaplains for our police departments. So having said that, Pastor Hoffa, look forward. So as I said, many of you probably already know Pastor Hoffa, but Pastor Hoffa was born and raised in Reading. He was trained at the priesthood at St. Charles Borromeo. Sorry, seminary in Philadelphia. He holds a bachelor's in philosophy and master's of divinity. He was ordained priest for the Diocese of Allentown on June 6, 2009. During Charles Hoppa's priest ministry, he was served in a number of ministries, including the parochial vicar, high school chaplain, Catholic college chaplain at Lehigh University, director of the Diocese Office for Youth and Young Adult Ministry, and the Catholic Youth Event Speaker and Worship Leader. Hoppa currently serves as the pastor of Holy Guardian Angels Parish in Muhlenberg Township, and now also serves as chaplain to the Muhlenberg Township Police Department and Fire Department. Thank you. The next job I'd like to introduce is Pamela Johnson. We refer to her simply as Pastor Pam. I was very touched by her guidance and support that she gave not only to our department, but also to Reading's department regarding the tragedy that one of our officers faced. So again, Pastor Pam, affectionately known to us, is ordained minister and serve as their associate pastor. Pastor Pam has served the Reading Police Department as one of their volunteer police chaplains for the last 18 years. She has received her credentials in Presidential Conference of Police Chaplains, Senior Police Chaplain, soon to be a Master Police Chaplain. She is a 1974 graduate of Pottstown High School and Western Montgomery County Vocational and Technical School. Having graduated from both, she is a licensed cosmetologist. So you guys can see that. She retired as of May 2022 as a mediation administrative coordinator and staff trainer for Child First Services Inc. St. Spring, PA. Throughout the years, she served on many boards in the community of Reading, where she presently resides. She's also currently a member of the Civil Service Board and has served for the past 9 years. And this
Thank you both for volunteering your time. You're definitely welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or I know you do have another meeting to get to. So thank you both, Pastor Pam, Father Hoppa, for your service to our community. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on. Linda, library. Good evening.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everybody the last meeting we enrolled in the Thursday. It's the opening reception. Breast cancer. There'll be hors d'oeuvres, a few speakers, things like that. The other thing is we will have the Tower Health Mammogram Mobile on December 2nd, and we have quite a few people signing up for that. And then in December, we have the Trail of Lights, which we're doing in conjunction with your arts board. And again, thank you to the township and the commissioners and Karen and Kelly for all your help this year and all our projects.
Thank you. Would anyone else wish to speak under the public portion for tonight's meeting? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So, second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those of any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Any unfinished business? Moving on to new business, I need a motion to approve the payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service. Motion. Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Now moving on to our 2025 budget, discussion. So, when was it? In October sometime, we met to discuss the proposed 2025 budget and what we were looking at to be able to fund the areas of the township with some of our growth, some of our needs in fire services, and how we fund those, and where we needed to go with our tax rate. We have not raised the general fund millage since 2022. I think we've been able to hold the line pretty effectively on that. However, our biggest expense right now is our police department and just where we're located, number of calls and things that are in on a day-to-day basis. So through the process, and we'll start open the discussion for my fellow commissioners. I was part of the committee with Dawn to help, drive the budget process. Board of Commissioners did an excellent job. Homework on their own to come up with better thoughts, which I'm sure you'll hear tonight. The budget committee itself, with the recommendation of our finance director, is recommending a 0.2 mil general fund increase, which amounts to $227,000, which is basically there to fund two police officers in the general fund, just because of our call volume and our needs, and a 0.1 fire tax millage increase to help cover some staffing needs at the fire department. So those are part of the actual budget that's being recommended by us. So I guess as the vice chair, Kevin, I will turn it over to you for your thoughts and just.
Sure. I'll start. Thank you, Mike. For those who were at the October meeting, it was, we had a lot of discussion about the services that we provide, a lot of the requests that have come up before us. As the police liaison, I will tell you that I had a number of meetings with Chief Hoover about the state of policing in the department, the demands and the needs and the future needs. Chief Hoover did a 5-year plan in which over the course of the 5 years, we're looking at staffing up from our current 33 officers, 35, of which 2 are SROs. So for those who don't know, let me segue, the SROs, they are police officers. They are currently assigned to the high school, one of the high school, one of the middle school. I still think the junior high, but the middle school. And their payroll is paid by Muhlenberg School District, and they have been very impactful. The school board has been very thankful that we have the SROs. The administrative staffs in the school are very happy with the SROs, and the program has been moving along very productively. So we talked a lot about the needs, and the one thing that we did talk about is, to address a concern that I know Commissioner Malinowski has, and anybody that is in a management position, anybody in business knows, you know, that you can't simply throw staffing at a potential problem and think that you're gonna solve the problem. Because increases in staffing, you know, creates its own problems and a lot of extra expense. So one of the things that the chief and I did talk about, and he is very much a proponent for, is also looking at technology needs and, you know, where we can use technology to help in crime fighting and, more importantly, crime prevention. With that, you know, the board, there was a lot of back and forth in discussion, and I think where we landed was to look at an increase of one additional officer for 2025. There would also be an additional SRO chief, but again, the SRO is being paid by Muhlenberg School District. I know in the long run, that still comes out of the resident pocket, comes out of my pocket, comes out of their pocket, comes out of your pocket. But the need is there for an SRO, and I am convinced that because we have, and if I say this wrong, chief, let me know, we are outside of the city of Reading, we have the highest volume police calls in Berks County. Now, that probably has a lot to do with our relationship to the city to our south. And in looking over the report that we just had for this month, you know, the commissioners get to see firsthand the various types of calls that police officers have and just how impactful these calls can be. You know, we had a police officer for the first time had to face a suicide. These are difficult things, and they wear and tear on the emotions of officers. So we're looking at retaining officers, bringing in new officers, and it's very hard right now in the current climate to hire new officers. We've been very lucky. We added three to the patrol staff this year. They are all out and about on their own and doing very, very well. To wrap that part of my discussion up, I'm looking at least adding one additional officer to our staff for 2025 warrants a 0.2 mil increase to our general fund. One of the other things that came before us is from our fire chief, was also looking to add to the career staff for Muhlenberg Muhlenberg Township Fire and Rescue. As I've said many times, and I don't want to belabor this point, I was involved in the merger process, and I have been saying for many, many years, and this is not meant to be detrimental at all to our volunteer staff. But Muhlenberg faces the same type of issues with our fire department that many municipalities face across, especially the northeast part of the United States. Volunteers are very, very dedicated, but the demands of their time have grown exponentially from what it was, you know, 30, 40, 50 years ago. The days are long gone when somebody can walk into a fire company and say, hey, I want to be a firefighter, and you give them a suit, they hop in a truck and off they go. There's a lot of training mandated by the state, and our fire company in their bylaws dictates, and chief, correct me if I'm wrong with that statement, in the bylaws it dictates that we expect to have a certain amount of training completed by our volunteers. This not only is put in place to keep the residents safe, it's also put in place to keep the volunteers safe. Because you don't want somebody going into a burning building who is not certified to do so. You don't want somebody fighting certain types of fires and they're not qualified to do so. And if you think about technology in this day and age, when you have more and more electric vehicles on the road, if an electric vehicle catches on fire, that's a lot different than a gasoline vehicle. So there's a lot of training involved. Because of that, the number of volunteers, of course, starts to go down. You just can't get volunteers like you used to. So we took a good hard look at augmenting our very, very fine and very, very dedicated volunteer staff with career staff. To that end, the chief threw a number out, based on the volume of calls, and our volume of calls also continues to go up for our fire department. I don't know, chief, that I'm ready at this time to put an additional 4 firefighters on. But based on our needs, we recently, last year, we hired 2 career staff. To my fellow commissioners, I would put out that I would be in favor of adding another 2 career firefighters at this time. Knowing again that we're looking at a budget that encompasses all the services that we provide the township. I think an additional 2. Originally, I think I was thinking 1, but logically, that really doesn't make sense from a scheduling standpoint. We're trying to cover a lot of hours. So to that end, based on the fact that we now need to hire firefighters through civil service, and that can be a somewhat lengthy process. The chief is anticipating that if we do approve additional firefighters, however many we approve, that it could take up to 6 months to be able to have civil service interview and the whole process to wrap up. So to that end, I would be in favor of putting an additional 2 career staff on, and looking at their salaries for 6 months. That would take us up another 0.1 mil increase to the firefighting fund. In the very end, we're once again looking at a deficit in our general fund. We've been doing this the last couple of years. I took a look at the deficit, and we've already agreed, that for capital purchases, we were going to look at using township reserve money. And Commissioner Malinowski will discuss how much money we have in reserve and how much of that reserve we do need to keep aside. Anybody that runs a business, anybody that runs a household knows that if you start spending more money than what you're taking in, sooner or later, you're gonna go bankrupt, your business is gonna end, or you need to start tapping into your savings accounts to start paying the bills. I look at the reserves, we've been doing this last couple of years, using our reserves to balance our budget. There's great concern amongst the board members that if we don't do that, if we don't look at using reserve, we are looking at a substantial tax increase in order to meet the services that we are required to provide. I'm concerned, and I've been concerned the last couple of years, that we look at our reserves and we use that money. If we were to have a major incident in this township, we have 4 million in reserves unrestricted. Correct me if I'm wrong on that number, sir. $1 million seems like an awful lot of money, but in a township our size, with the number of people that we have, if we had a major emergency, we'd use that up pretty quickly. So to that end, I'm looking at using some reserve, but I'm also looking at a rate increase, a tax increase, so that we don't have to keep dipping into the savings too much. So to do that, I'm looking at, I calculated we would need at least another 0.2 mil. I know that's not what Dawn was recommending, but that's my personal opinion. So my bottom line, which would not sit well, I know, in light of the fact that the county's gonna raise taxes, the school district will raise taxes. But in doing the calculation, the amount of money that we have as a shortfall, and still looking to add to the emergency services that I think we desperately need, I'm proposing a 0.5 mil increase. Now, 0.5 mil increase, Dawn brings us somewhere around $500,000, $500,000, 0.5. So again, in the scope of things, I know that increase is it doesn't bring a huge amount of money into the pot, but I think it brings a fair amount in in order to provide a more balanced budget. My wife is looking to retire at the end of this year. I'm not working full-time. So, you know, I pay these increases too. And I need to find ways to do that. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm proposing a $500,000 increase and that it's not going to affect me at all. It will affect me a great deal. But again, I try to look at this judiciously. I know that in the last couple of years, our revenues have outperformed the amount of money that we thought we would bring in. And we are hopeful that that will happen again. But something in the back of my mind says that we have been very, very lucky to bring more revenue in than what we were planning or what we were budgeting for. If the economy were to take a downturn, and I'm not saying that it will, but if something were to happen, you know, then we would perhaps realize some of that increase. So that's very long-winded. Thank you, gentlemen, for hearing me out. But that has been my bottom line.
Gentlemen, who would like to go next?
Well, it's easy.
Commissioner Shirley, you wanna
Yeah,
come in?
Kevin, there's not much that you didn't cover, so, I'm in favor of the 0.2 general fund increase to meet the police needs. As far as being a fire department liaison, you know, Alex is doing a great job, keeps track of everything. As far as the budget's concerned, they definitely need that 0.1 increase, so that's where I'm at with that. There's gonna be some staffing needs that we're gonna have to meet. You know, I know he proposed 4 career firefighters going into next year. I think that's gonna be a discussion that we're gonna have obviously at a later date. But I'm in favor of doing whatever works, you know, as far as the money's concerned. So if the money's there, I'd like to meet the needs of the department, whether that's 2 more career firefighters on top of the 2 that we already have, or 4 more to bring us up to 6. You know, and definitely the added police officer is necessary, so I'm definitely at a 0.2 and a 0.1 on the fire side.
Well, yeah, I'll do it next. I'm in favor of. I'm in favor of 0.2. Whole thing is with the police department for school, that's a great thing. That going after a better thing. I guess don't we have 3 policemen in school right now? Everyone,
Technically, yes,
then they want one for the tech school too for next year, quite a bit before.
that's still
That's still
the
there.
planning phase.
I mean, we're that time that now we need police in school and everybody really likes it at school. The superintendent told me to tell you, no matter what happened political, they have the money before that stuff would go in. If they cut that education out of the federal government, they'd have the money, money come, say, don't even be losing $2 million in education. Washington DC, but they will take care of it. Both Texas say the same thing. They will love to have police in school. I think the kids happy. And for the community too. Thanks for the police officers. Getting back to the fire department, I'm in favor of the 0.1 increase, and like Bill was just about saying, about 4 fire guys, I mean, we need fire people in Muhlenberg Township and stuff, right? We just had that fire at Goosehead Road, we were there in 2 minutes, all right? That was wonderful. It's a shame we lost my life, but we were there, we weren't there on time. We need volunteers too, plus plan A. That's right there all the time. The volunteers you have now, for 2, like 55 hours each time, right? Hours are 55 hours.
The career staff, yeah, they cover about 55 hours.
We go to 4, that'd be around the clock, probably, right?
We can lengthen that further, yeah.
I'm in favor, we can get 4 or 2, see what comes up with the best thing. Thank you.
Good evening. I remember sitting next to Commissioner Lorch about 5 or 6 years ago during a budget meeting. And he wanted 0.1 mil increase. And he said, if you do 0.1 every year, it's not gonna hurt. 0.1 is basically $10
$10 on $100,000.
on $100,000. And, you know, we went 6 years, I guess, without a raise in the general fund, which we were all proud of. But, as time went by, we've seen problems with EMS, and we have our director back there. I don't think he's asking for money this year, but he probably could use it. The fire department, I remember 10 years ago, Commissioner Alert saying in 5 years, we'll probably need to go to paid firefighters. Well, we made it for 10 years. You know, I do hate pulling money out of the general fund for capital improvements. I just see things getting worse, getting more expensive down the road. I mean, if we don't increase the millage enough this year, we're gonna have to increase it more next year. And you know, my initial thoughts were, yes, we'll go with police officer. We'll do the 0.2 mill increase for that. And the firefighters, I don't think 0.1 is gonna be enough, considering everything, and we might be lucky. But I could go along with that. I could go along with another 0.1 in for the general fund. Or a total 0.4 mils. I met with Dawn. She thinks we can get by with 0.3. I could go with that. I always like to have a little extra money in my pocket. And so I could go with 0.3, but I think 0.4 would be more advantageous down the road, because then next year when we have another increase needed, we're still gonna have some extra money in the bank first.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
just, so your 0.4 for general fund, is that what you're talking about?
I'm saying 0.1 for the fire, 0.3 for the general.
Thank you, commissioners. Yeah, my comments, not to beat a dead horse, no one here is right or wrong. It's a lot of debate about how we think to fund government. We've held the line, just so you know, we have a restricted reserve of $3.5 billion for the rainy day fund if we do have that major problem. So we have that already, and now we've been able to do a very, very good job, the township staff, I give them all the credit in the world, of maintaining an extremely healthy reserve balance. So now we'll end the year a little over $4 million, correct?
Right now, I guess.
Yeah. So I love to have money in the bank, but I also don't love that it's on the your money all the time. It's your money. So I think we have to think very hard, and not that any of this board doesn't think that way, because there's an operational shortfall, things are going up. But I'm very conscious also of economic development. I mean, no offense to our friends at the school district, but that was just hammered. The county's gonna hammer us. And now, we're gonna have a millage increase also. So we have some significant funds that need to be developed. And I don't want them to go right down the street to develop. That's the only way we get the tax base broader. It is to attract this. We can't, despite what Muhlenberg neighbor says, we aren't in the business of building things. We have to just create an economic environment that entices them to want to come to our community. And investing in police and emergency services and fire and the wonderful things that we do out in the roads and our parks, it's all a big puzzle and it's tough. But I still think while we're at that full $4 million reserve number, with a very limited capital request this year, by the way, from the department heads, I just think going above that, going to basic recommendation, but I do want to be sure you do understand, we do have, 3.5 million already set aside, we don't touch, that we did a long time ago in cases of emergency. Rainy day fund and purchase transfer tax, how glory stuff has been up and increasing when properties change, so we've been able to hold the line. So I think right now, because we have to do some things in December with trash, And if just Google, some trash charges are going up, we basically, if you add up all of our expense, really don't cover that bill as a township as well as we should, we're still offering the senior discount. So anyway, a long-winded answer to say, I'll make the motion and then, it can get voted up or down. That we increase the general fund millage to 0.2 mils in addition. And the fire fund to 0.1 mil additional increase for the 2025 budget. So I'll make the motion. Anyone like to second?
I will second.
Any further questions or comments? I'm gonna do an individual call vote for me, Commissioner Wolfinger,
Aye.
Commissioner Lurch.
No.
I'm a yes. Commissioner Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Cirilli.
Yes.
All right. So Don, they're looking to advertise all the logistics of, additional increase. So and our budget will be out, all this will be published on our website tomorrow. So you can dig into the numbers if you have any questions about that, but a very small summary of the amount of work that went into that. So honestly, on behalf of the entire staff, all of you, everybody that helped develop the budget, it's a tough situation, and we have held the line since 2022, so I'm was able to do that, but now it's just operationally, the shortfall will be too devastating not to try to get some more funds in the door, so. Moving on. Need a motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise the 2025 budget and tax rate.
Moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
No, if you have it,
Aye. Any no's? All those in favor? Now you have been screwed up. Sorry. Do we have the vote?
Yes.
Any motion to the township manager to apply for the LSA grant funding for a fire company, mini pumper?
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Comment I'll make is the reason that the township manager is listed as the applicant is because DCED requires the township manager to be the signatory. Otherwise, this is all Alex's project.
Okay.
That's 100% grant.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion authorizes the township manager to apply for an LSA grant funding for the purchase of a fire police traffic truck.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Chief, exactly what is a traffic truck?
So a designated vehicle that our fire police can use, we're now on the roadways, Route 61, Route 12, and 222. Currently, fire police utilize their personal vehicles. So this vehicle will be equipped with adequate lighting, message board, signboard, road closures, just something to further provide, more precise, traffic management when there's, emergencies out the roadway, thus keeping up with responders safe as well as, motorists.
Thank you. I saw the picture. I just wanted to kind of understand a little bit better how this was to be used. Is this also 100% grant?
It would be.
It would be.
And also of note is that this piece of equipment could be used by fire police for police incidences or fire incidents. It can be used for whatever you need.
Are all fire police then certified to drive it, or?
It'll be a small enough truck that it won't need any special licensing, or it may need some training, but it won't require any special licensing.
Where would you house it?
Probably at one of our stations, obviously, possibly Tuckerton Road, it'll depend on, where we have our fire police located, so they can easily grab it and deploy it rather quickly.
Nice, sir.
Thank you, Chief. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion approved payment application 1 final for the contract C of the 2024 road paving project for work completed on the Riverside Haitian Trail in the amount of $126,088.44.
Could you explain that, Jim?
Sure can. We received funding in 2022 or 3, about $187,000, no match required, to construct a trail network in the Riverside Basin. Initially, the concept came about when I think there was actually wildfires on Never Seen Mountain a handful of years back, and we could see it from the township building. And discussion came up, what would happen if there was a fire back there? Could the fire company respond to it? The answer was no. The reality is the Riverside Basin was an old desilting basin, so there's, in some spots, there's several feet thick worth of coal silt. Theoretically, if that caught on fire, it would be near difficult to, or near impossible to extinguish. And so by applying for some funding to construct the trails, they will be created so that they're wide enough that a small, this mini pumper, the UTV the fire company has, could access the different remote sections of the Riverside Basin. And so this $126,000 was used to pave the driveway and create a parking area inside the Riverside Basin, which is now, the parking lot is open, the driveway is open. The trails are not yet complete, so we don't want to advertise it, too heavily yet, although we are. So yeah, so we're working on some trail surfacing for the project. We have until June of next year to complete, but again, fully funded. And it will be just passive recreation trails through the Riverside Basin, approximately 2 miles.
I was going to suggest next Saturday. Matching that, I would be there at 10 o'clock if anybody wants to take a walk through. Is it too early?
Well, YouTube just got it, so it's out there now.
Well, I'm just saying, we all have to.
That's up to you. I mean, you could. I walked it today. It's mostly passable.
And Chief, it would be good for you to see it. Talk about fires. I was always concerned about, fire started at one end, it won't stop until it was at the other end, that's 100 some acres. And maybe we should keep people out of it right now.
Thank you, Commissioner. I need a motion for that.
You got a motion, you need a second.
I need a
You
second.
have a motion?
Steve motion.
Did you motion?
I have a motion.
I'll say.
Any further question or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Any other new business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
A couple of points, just to bring the board up to speed on, and the residents up to speed on a number of meetings I attended over the last few weeks. I did attend a federal recertification meeting for the Reading Area Transportation Study. That's a municipal group that gets together, works with PennDOT to look at transportation needs in the county. They do a lot of good work. There are a lot of projects that take place. Recertification was just to give to the federal government some unbiased opinion on how the board works, how well they work, and the information that they disseminate. I served on the board a couple of years ago, first class townships, Muhlenberg is a first class township. I enjoy working hand in hand with other municipalities and with PennDOT. PennDOT is very tough to work with sometimes, but the amount of work when you see what happens behind the scenes is kind of eye-opening. So I did attend that meeting. I also attended a meeting that the Berks Alliance put on a couple of weeks regarding the upgrades to the West Shore bypass. You can go to the Berks County website and actually look up the RATS board. And you'll see information about the upcoming West Shore bypass construction. The reason that it's important to Muhlenberg is because it does affect traffic on the west side of Reading, at least right up to Route 12, of course, which is one of our gateways into our township. I will probably be in a home by the time this project is completed. It is a lot of work, it's a lot of money. The West Shore bypass is going to look very, very different from the way it looks today. But anything that will help to smooth out traffic in that area is a boon to us, because it allows traffic to move more freely into the township. So Commissioner Malinowski pointed out the development, when somebody's looking at Muhlenberg and how easy it is to enter and exit our township, you know, it's an important project. So I put that out there for you, construction, bids are going out. I mean, this will be over $300 million, until they're finished. But the changes they wanna make, I think have been thought out very well. Anyway, Reading Eagle or WFMZ had information on the plan, you can check it out there, but I was at that meeting. I also attended a meeting of the Schuylkill River Rail Authority, not too long ago at the old, Franklin Street Station. To get an update on, where they are with, plans to restore rail traffic to Reading. And again, even though the plan is to bring trains from Philadelphia to Reading back, again, this can be something that can work in Muhlenberg's favor. I know, with business today, a lot of people can work remotely, but, you know, there's still something to be said for in-person, work. Excuse me, and, you know, just think what it would mean to us if people could actually come up from Philadelphia on a train, maybe hop a bus or something and grab an Uber and come out to Riverfest. So, you know, there's a lot of good things that I think will come, from rail. Just to let you know, that board is probably on step number 5 of 10,000 things that need to happen before rail is actually restored. But they are moving forward. I think it's a great project and I look forward to that. I also attended 2 meetings sponsored by the Center for Excellence in Local Government regarding EMS, the current status of EMS in Berks County. The current status is, and again, in a word, it's not great. That's 2 words. But in short, there are a lot of municipalities that do not even fund their volunteer ambulance services. Fortunately, in Muhlenberg, we recognize the importance of helping out to the best we can. So, you know, we do have budgets in to support Muhlenberg ambulance. There's a lot of moving parts to this issue, and I don't want to get into that now. But as more information becomes available, we can share with the public, I certainly will. It was very informative. There will be some additional studies done by the county as to how to improve the service. And I also pressed the CDLG to kind of go back and take a look at a topic we had a couple years ago regarding firefighting in the county, which was also a big topic, and COVID hit and it kind of went by the wayside. And their stance was, well, that's kind of better now, and I'm like, no, it's not really better. You know, so there's still a lot of work to do, in my estimation, with firefighting and ambulance service in the county. Hopefully CDLG will continue those discussions and we'll have more to get. But it's been a very busy couple of weeks, so I wanted to share that with the board and all of you.
Commissioner, has the entire board seen that study? It's very interesting study to read. You get a chance to everyone get it. If not, we can forward it. Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you. Commissioner, anyone else under new business? We're tabling any board appointments tonight, so we'll move on. Anyone wish to speak under the second public portion? Okay, seeing none, well, before we do the staff comments, Justin, I know you want, I think Alan said you want to say a few words, so you're first, buddy.
I wasn't ready for that. Yeah. I thought I was gonna I have a draft report done, and I'll have a final one to you, just as a summary of what I've been doing for you guys since you brought me on board. As of today, there's been 3 incidents where I have somehow been helping in some way, shape, or form. The first one was a utility failure this summer. There were a number of people in the township who were without power. I also was out of power in Bern Township. So because of the weather and realizing what was going on and seeing how long the repairs were going to take, I was in contact with a whole bunch of people of trying to set up a what we call a comfort center, where people can come to get out of the heat to charge your devices because they don't have power. I coordinated that with the Red Cross, had all these balls in motion, everything was looking good. We had 0 people show up. And so I look at it like this: it was a good run. good practice, because if we wouldn't have done anything, people would have been complaining. So, that's one thing, the trip out to Riverfest was there. First time there, it was great. I think we only had one incident there, where, a lady had a medical emergency. And the police department, EMS personnel handled it right away. And lastly, I got a phone call one night from Alex. He said, hey, we had, Foley got another, vehicle out at, Walmart. And it was a tractor trailer and it dumped 3/4 of its, diesel fuel tank into the parking lot. So I had it out there just to make sure that we didn't need to get any additional resources from any other outside agencies like DEP or anything like that. Thankfully, that none of that happened. I've continued my training as required by the state, attending my monthly trainings with Berks DES. Some of the topics include family reunification, post-disaster recovery mitigation, functional needs annexes, training on the new web EOC, which is a program where we can, if we have an incident, we can communicate with the county from a virtual platform. And the new initial damage reporting, which there's a new damage reporting system, which is probably one of the huge components of my role as an EMC is collecting all the information for damage received during flooding. So that way, if there is a federal declaration, we can get reimbursement for that, whether it's the damages to get the roads fixed, getting people set up with the Small Business Association to get low interest, no interest loans to have buildings or belongings replaced. And then also having the emergency responders and public works folks get reimbursed for the equipment that we would use for whatever disaster or incident that might be that would qualify for it. I also attended a conference out in Montgomery County. It's one they put on every 2 years. One of the key takeaways from that, two folks that were the key players in the East Palestine train derailment. We got to learn about what they did, what that looked like, and how a county staff of 2 people handled a incident in a county that has a smaller population than the city of Reading. So we learned a lot of things about that, a lot of things of what is going on with misinformation for when emergencies happen. How, I mean, we're seeing it now with Helene down in North Carolina. And then I also went out to Altoona, where I actually gave 2 presentations. One was about emergency response for railroad incidents, and gave a little, about an hour and a half long presentation about what it's like to become an EMC in your beginning stages and trying to help new EMCs learn the ropes of it. And I had a lot of senior EMCs in there that were kind of came up to us later with some of the things we presented, and they were like, you guys made that? So I had another EMC with me from another municipality, we should things. So if you're interested in that presentation, I can send you the PowerPoint for that. Other than that, I've just been working on a lot of planning that has been neglected for Lord knows how long. Things that have needed to be updated, things now that are, there's new regulations out there, or something changes. Hurricane Helene has changed the way emergency management is viewed. And like I've said to others, every emergency starts local. And you saw firsthand what can happen once information started getting out there of how communities were impacted, where they basically lost everything. So a lot of trying to figure out what we all can do to help in that situation, because the federal government is not going to be there as quick as you want them to be. And we're gonna have to rely on our own to include people in our community, which leads this to my segue to, in a time where volunteering seems to be falling by the wayside. Myself and about 4 other EMCs in the western part of the county are trying to create a community emergency response team. And our goal is to have a regional community emergency response team where, say something happens in Muhlenberg Township like on July 9th, and other parts of the county were not impacted, and some of those are some of the places that are trying to create this team. We could rely on them to come help us, whether it's do damage assessments, because there's so much, provide logistical support for people who don't have, things were gone, wiped out. And that's just, we're in the very beginning infancy stages of this, but I just wanted to share this with you guys because that's something that, we would like to, I would like to try to bring to Muhlenberg Township. And it doesn't, there's the training required for that is not as much as, say somebody wants to get involved with emergency services. But the training requirements for EMS, fire, or just if it's too much for them, this is something a little bit less. But they can still get that, hey, I'm helping out my community, and it can be anybody. If you have a certain skill set, you think, oh, this may not work, believe me, we can find a role for you in emergency management. Those are the highlights. I'm not gonna bore you with the whole 2-pager, but I will make sure you guys get the full.
Thank you, Justin. I have one question.
Absolutely.
Now that you're here, in a long time ago, we had a whole continuity of government plan. I think I got a special badge from 911 that
Mhm.
get access to get to the EOC and
Right.
all that stuff. I mean, I have the binder, I still think from a long time ago.
Mhm.
Is that stuff that we're looking to update, and is that what you're working on right now?
You have a new one coming.
Okay,
The binders are sitting on my kitchen table right now, but I wanted to make them look a little bit nicer.
yeah, so that all includes all that, right?
It's gonna have a lot of stuff in it.
Okay.
It's also going to include the Keystone Emergency Management Association. They created a municipal officials guide to emergency management. So I've included that in there, and there's gonna be some other things in there too.
All right.
So there's a lot of work ahead. I chip away at it when I can. So just gotta take one piece at a time. I have to meet with some other department heads here to inventory some things. So that way, if we do have something, we know what resources we have and everything else. So,
Thank you.
no problem.
Follow-up question, Mike. There is, there are required courses for elected officials to take. If I remember, I know the county sponsored one a couple years ago, I know I attended. And I don't know who tracks that. I don't even remember.
So it's gonna fall under me.
Okay.
And I have no idea what courses you guys have taken. or-
We do.
You got it?
HR has been trying.
Okay, somebody probably has it.
We do,
I don't.
we have.
That's good.
All right.
So, yeah, things change with that. The county, every January, they put on a course called, emergency management for elected officials. It's a morning session and an evening session. So I'll send an email reminder of when that is. It's just a couple hours. And then they talk about what courses you can kind of take. They do have a specific course specifically, for ICS to understand all the ins and outs of all that. You just want to pull me aside one day, I'll bore you to death about
Yeah.
emergency management.
Yeah, I just remember there's certain things like strategies of who talks to the media, where's say all that
Yeah. Mhm.
stuff, and then something like July 9th happens. And I probably don't know what the binders anymore, but, yeah, I don't know, we'll continue, Justin, with that, because it's important, because it's stuff you have to be prepared for, so thank you.
I think it says he who has the gavel doesn't speak.
Yeah. I forget what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, for anybody that ever wants to run for public office, it's like, you just don't go to a meeting and say, oh, here, let's vote on this. It's like, there's a lot of things that you are required to do.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
All right, Mr. Dunkel?
Yeah, just a reminder to use the go-to Muhlenberg app. I know we're kind of in between, no high-grass, and we're not seeing the S word, the ugly snow word. But in addition to, high-grass and weeds, the codes department of Muhlenberg Township also enforces Pennsylvania State Building Code laws. So, thank everyone that has called, or if you see something on there that you're not sure that requires a permit or you see construction, just place a phone call to us. It's worth us taking a look at. In the past couple of months, we've had several calls, and it's led to some illegal additions, apartment conversions, and things that are unsafe. A lot of people just attribute codes to just high grass, trash, and weeds. That's not the case. We enforce Pennsylvania state law as well, and including fire protection within buildings. Everything attributed in the built environment. So any phone call you can place to us, just for us to take a look at, if you believe something's unsafe or you believe something's being constructed illegally, is great help for us, and it's great for the community as well. Just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph?
Happy Thanksgiving. Any changes to our office hours for holidays, snow, anything like that? Obviously, just our app and the township website are official channels for communication.
Okay, Aaron? No, this, John,
No, just happy holidays and I know that we had some discussions, I had some discussions with Mike and Jim. Regarding customer service hours going into the 2025 new year. Obviously, the staff will be here from 8 to 4:30. However, we find a need to have our windows not open right at 8 o'clock and right to 4:30 because there's stuff we have to do before and after, kind of makes it hard. So probably 8:30 to 4, Monday through Friday. And that we'll close it.
We'll still have Dropbox as well outside.
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah,
event that you need to drop them.
absolutely, but it's just to give us time to, at the end of the day, especially during trash time, you know, we take in thousands of dollars. I mean, we have to proof out our drawers. You know, if we have a mistake, we gotta find it, you know, it's just a lot, so. We'd like to serve our customers, but, you know, sometimes we need additional time to just get our stuff set up. Then we'll put something out. We're gonna put it on the website, but I thought I'd mention it now, just whoever's listening. Yeah.
Pete,
To keep it short this month, October was our busiest month year to date, busiest since I've been here, besides last July's rainstorm. 159 calls for service in the month of October, on top of the numerous fire prevention details we were in at schools completing. Thank you for the support on the LSA projects as well as budget conversations. That's pretty much the only other thing I had since our last meeting in October. We recently, last year's LSA funding, we were awarded $418,000, which I believe most of you are aware of, for a new fire engine. So upcoming, we'll have to have some further conversations on how we, you know, kind of go down that process of procuring a new fire engine with those funds. So that's all I have.
thank you. Yeah, she,
Actually, I have a lot this month. Sorry. So, I made a decision to have a no shave November and December. So in order for officers to participate, they had to contribute $50 a month. And then at the December meeting, we'll announce the recipient of those funds for charity. And getting back to the whole SRO issue. As you approved last month, the third SRO technically started this month in the school district. As Commissioner Masters said about the VOTEC is definitely shaping up, for lack of a better way to put it, to start an SRO there as well. I did not include this in my October monthly report. I simply missed it. But one of our SROs was nominated for and received the Francis Fran Drexler Public Safety Award. And it was actually presented today during a luncheon by the Council on Chemical Abuse. And it was basically for Officer Calabria's dedication to his work at the school with the students. So it's a testament, a minor test in my opinion, on some of the successes that our SROs are experiencing up in the school district. As you know, we were inundated last month and the beginning of this month with presidential candidate campaign visits. For the first time that I've been here in 35 years, we actually had a personal, regardless of what the media called it, a personal visit to one of our township residents' homes, which created quite a logistical nightmare for the police department. December 15th is the Crime Alert Christmas concert at the DoubleTree. Very good time, good music. And I attended the IACP conference in October, which had over 16,000 attendees. It was an awesome and great opportunity, my first time experience to attend that conference. Money well spent. So thank you for allowing me to do that. And that's all I have.
are we waiting for our reimbursement from all the overtime that you had to do for all the candidates?
Well, it actually has been discussed about the potential of sending the bill to no avail, but.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's all great when they're here, but we all pay for it, by the way.
Oh,
EMS, fire.
Yes, fire. Thank you for that and our team for supporting that area. That's happened. Thanks, you, Karen.
I want to apologize to the board for not having Park and Rec reports. Desire to proofread kind of got past us before the deadline, so that will never happen again. Also want to,
You can safely say that.
So, just wanted to thank the board for making my transition into retirement quick and easy. My coming days.
Planning commission meeting on Wednesday. We do not have any new plans for review. However, we will be discussing comprehensive plan recommendations. So that's on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and there is still a burn ban in effect. We will announce when the county lifts the countywide burn ban. No burning until then.
All right, thanks, Jim. First, I think Commissioner Hoffman has on the list.
Yeah, I just want to thank the residents of Muhlenberg Township by paying their taxes and that stuff to help township go forward. Do we want to raise taxes? No, but we have to do. It's a shame, but it's the only way you get money for safety in that in the township. And the water authority don't have no vein on water or anything, but just try to watch your water use in your house. But then it was probably 2-3 weeks ago, me, Mr. Lurch and Jim, we met with some residents in Euclid Avenue by the business snap. We did pretty good with people. They were complaining about trucks driving on their grass and company we talked to, met with, they're gonna take care of the people. But about 10 people, Euclid Avenue came for a meeting. The meeting was pretty good. Wish everybody happy holidays.
Thanks. Thank you, Commissioner Wolf.
The library is doing a clothing drive for individuals down in the Carolinas. So if you bring a coat you're not using or any type of clothing you're not using, bring it over to the library. It's right at the front door. Bag it.
We're a drop off. There's somebody, a private party who's actually taking it down, but we're a drop off site for it.
Okay. Deer. I'm told there are a lot of deer being hit on the road. And a lot of them are the little ones. They're not too smart yet. And one worker said that he gets one a week or something. So be careful out there when you drive around. The deer are darting all over and I see all these people driving at 25 miles an hour, they go on 50 miles an hour. It's crazy. But stay around, look out for deer. Commissioner Hoffmeister and I are on the board at the Water Authority. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and I really appreciate you coming here. The Water Authority meets in here the first Thursday after the first Monday of the month. Sometimes they're long meetings, but if you're interested and you see where your money's going. There was a study done as to in Pennsylvania, who's paying the most, who's paying the least in water, sewer. Sewer wise, we're paying less than average in the state. And for water, we're in Berks County, we're the lowest. We're second to lowest by a lot. So if you come to these meetings, you see where your money's being spent. Laurel Lee, we're replacing the main in Laurel Lee so we can surface that road that needs to be surfaced. 50 fire hydrants are being put in. You know, Muhlenberg's water authority or the water system is in some areas 100 years old. We have old pipes that have to be replaced, and it was overlooked. And we are getting a list of and making a priority. You know, there's money in the account, won't increase your bill at all. We have the money in the account to spend for these improvements. But if you want to come to a meeting, it's in this office first Thursday after the first Monday. And if you have any questions about that letter you got, you know, see me after the meeting or come to a meeting on the first Thursday in December, first week.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sterling.
Yeah, the Cobra Anchors meeting, proved fruitful. I live a couple blocks up the street from that. And ever since that meeting, when I go to work in the morning and I go down Euclid, the trucks, especially the ones in the deep dock, are turning their cab so that it's not on the road and the truck back into the dock. I think they could have done that in the past, but at least it's getting done now. The budget stuff is tough, you know, we collectively, you know, we wanna meet the needs of the township and our departments. But you need to be mindful of the spending. And, you know, I think that we work well together to figure that out, so. That's all I got, thanks for coming, thank you, Pastor Pam and Father Hoppa, appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lurch.
Couple of eclectic things, if I may. I'm gonna thank Chief Hoover for recognizing the chaplains. Pastor Pam, I don't know you personally, but some of my friends on city council have spoken very highly of you, so.
Thank you,
Nice to have you here, and regarding Father Hoffa, he is the pastor at Holy Guardian Angels, who sponsors the scout troop that I'm involved in, and he's a heck of a guy. He is extremely energetic, quick to listen, and he supports the scout troop there, and I'm very thankful for that. And I see that we have a young man here from Scouts, no doubt, rank requirement, merit badge requirement, I'm thinking. So if you have questions about the meeting, stop on up afterwards, and I'll answer any questions. I want to thank our staff for all the work they did on putting budget information together. You know, to sit before you and ask for a $500,000 increase is not an easy thing to do. And as Commissioner Malinowski said, you know, there's no right or wrong answers here. You know, we do our due diligence and we come up with what we think are the best ideas to move forward. You know, but I don't walk out of here tonight gnashing my teeth and bad mouthing my fellow commissioners because I didn't get my way. You know, we made a very difficult decision, and you know, we'll work into a budget so that we can provide the services that we need to provide to all the residents. And you know, I wish the folks in Washington could take a look at how we work as a board, because even though we don't always agree on things, you know, at the end of the night, we still talk to each other and shake hands, have a drink or whatever, you know, we still have mutual respect for each other. So that's the way government should work. You know, you disagree, you bring them to the table, you look at, you know, you talk about points of view and counter points of view and make decisions and you move forward. So I want to thank my commissioners for at least entertaining the discussion. Thank you all for coming and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you all for coming. Welcome again, Pastor Pam and Father Hoppa. I made him leave or he would give me more work. If I go there and he gives me more work all the time. Volunteering for something anyway, but yeah, thanks to the team, the staff, Dawn specifically. I mean, we've been through this many times and they're tough decisions. The board has been excellent to work with and everyone contributes part of the township. One thing, Jim, so I don't forget, I didn't see a follow-up, and if I missed it from the gentleman who was there last month to send me a letter about West Bellevue. Yeah, we can talk about it offline, but if you have everything for that, I'd like to get back to him.
Not yet, I think that the traction unit's still out collecting data.
Okay, so just don't let me forget. No problem. That's how I will. So, thank you for that. I will make sure we get back to him. And yeah, just